Hi, friends. Is building community really important in second half of life? How can we be community builders? Or maybe we don't even want community. Let's talk about that. Community has always been a high core value in my life. I come by it honestly. I grew up in Africa where community was essential. People who were not in community literally didn't make it. So I understood the value of community. Since moving back to the US, it was something I struggled with. And I have found community in churches, not all of them, but some of them, and in book clubs and in other groups that I've either started or joined. And to me, that's been hugely valuable in my life. What do I mean by community? I'm talking about a group of people where you can share honestly what's going on in your life and some of your challenges, as well as some of your joys, people to celebrate with, people who are willing to ask the hard questions, people who are willing to be on call if you need them. One thing about community is it can be inconvenient because meeting times, gathering times may not always be convenient for you. When they need help, it may not always be convenient for you to help them out or to be there for them. And yet, how do we move our own lives in a way that makes room for community? I think community in second half of life is essential. Let me give you an example from my own life. Before we moved here to northern Indiana, we came for a couple of summers just to test it out. And the second summer, I decided to organize a book club. And I invited about a dozen friends that I had made earlier in life, but we had kind of scattered to the four winds. And I invited them to be a part of this book club. I chose a book that I thought would be compatible with everybody, but would also help us dig a little deeper than the hi, how are you doing, and what project do you have going on your house. And by the end of the summer, it was about an 8-week book study. We were getting pretty close. Well, by the end of the summer, we also found a house and we decided we were going to move here permanently. But it needed some work, and we were also planning to go back to Arizona for 9 months. And we felt a little uncomfortable about leaving our house empty with all our stuff in it for 9 months. So I asked people at our book club if they knew of anybody who might be a house sitter for us. And amazingly, one of the people in our book club said it would work really well for him in this season of life. So we had somebody who would stay in our house. When we bought the house, there were 2 trees in the front yard. One of them was totally dead, and we knew we had to take that one down. The other one was dying. It was on its way out. So we figured we'd have to take that down as well. Well, there was a big snowstorm, and the tree that was mostly dead actually did fall down, and the other one was still standing upright. Well, we were in Arizona. What we were going to do? I suppose we could have hired somebody to come, but we threw that out to our little book community and asked whether anybody would be able to help out. One couple said, we will come and cut down both trees and take the wood for our fireplace. That was great for most of the wood, but there was still some leftover stuff, the branches and things like that they didn't need. So we asked the city to bring over a dumpster, which they did for free. And another couple in our book club said, we'll go over and put everything in the dumpster. Wow, that was so helpful. And it really cemented our relationship as well. And when we got to town, we said, how can we help you? And so it was really a mutual benefit to have that kind of community. And now we track each other when we're going on vacations, when we're coming home. It's just nice to know that somebody actually missed you and is looking forward to you being back. If you are thinking, wow, it sure would be nice to have that kind of community beyond just my family, there's a way you can build community. Usually it starts with some kind of common interest that you might have. It may be around a book, or it may be around an activity that you can build on, and maybe make it a little more formal to say, we'll do this regularly, and that way people can expect that. Then as you gather, to ask some good questions. This same group has continued on as a supper club. And we always start our suppers with a curious question that helps us tell stories about our lives, and we get to know each other better. It's been a really valuable time for all of us. Then you can deepen those relationships. Maybe the guys get together for coffee or the women get together for coffee and just have some deeper conversations. And that continues to build that sense of community, of family together. I will say that even though you can go out to eat together, and some of my communities from the past, we've done more of that because that was the culture in Arizona. Here, inviting people to your home, there's something that happens in a group when you open your home to other people and they see where you live. I think that in itself helps to build community. It does take intention, and it does take intentional effort if you would like something like this. Now, you may say, I'm an introvert, and that sounds great if somebody else would do it. I'm an introvert too. But what has helped me is teaming up with someone else who is more of an extrovert and maybe could reach out and invite the people that you may be a little less comfortable inviting. So work together with some other people. Get one or two other people on your team and start to build these communal relationships. I know that here in my town, there is a very popular retirement center, and we'll probably end up there in 10 or 20 years. One of the biggest complaints that's talked about there is loneliness. Here they are, sometimes living in the same building with little apartments right next to each other, and they say they're lonely. Building community is a muscle. And in second half of life, especially in third quarter, I really encourage you to exercise that muscle. Learn how to relate to people on a deeper level, because then it will come more naturally later on in life too. So I want to encourage you to step out. Start with 2 or 3, maybe add a few more. That's what I've done with my second half of life women's group, as I started with a couple people I knew, and then they invited some people they knew, and we ended up with a dozen women around the table, really talking deeply about our lives. You can do it. I want to encourage you to do that. And let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear your story of how you are building community in your life. And please, if you find these presentations encouraging to you, like and subscribe, because it'll help us encourage others. I'll see you next time.